This episode of the Totally Rad Show was brought to you by Audible. Coming up, a vulgar teddy bear can only come from the mind of Seth MacFarlane. Today we check out Ted.
So we have just seen Ted, the new movie from Seth MacFarlane, starring Mila Kunis, Mark Wahlberg, and Seth MacFarlane himself as the voice of the little bear, the little teddy bear, Ted.
The title character of the movie.
Eponymous is what I was trying to say. Ted is about a little boy who wished for his bear to come alive. It did, and then flash forward to he's a 35-year-old man, and he's got relationship issues, and hilarity ensues. Really not much more complicated than that.
Doesn't get any more complicated than that.
It's a big setup for lots of jokes, because this is a foul-mouthed bear who likes smoking weed and banging ladies and drinking.
Yeah.
And so R-rated comedy. What did you think of it?
It was okay. It was okay. It kind of met my expectations, and I had fairly low expectations. There were moments that were some of the funniest things I've ever seen in my life. Those moments were interspersed between 10, 15, 20-minute stretches of a very boring movie. But the stuff that was hysterical was hysterically funny. And I kind of wish that somebody, I feel like you could watch the trailers and get a lot of the good laughs out of this. Somebody would literally cut this down into like a 10-minute YouTube clip.
Yeah.
That will be the funniest thing you have ever freaking seen in your life.
Well, you can do that with most comedies, though.
Well, but the LPMs were like 2.
Yeah.
Or 1 per 10 minutes. I mean, and there were huge laughs. I mean, look, huge laughs. But, a lot of comedies, when you see the comedy, everything is sort of funny. Like, you're kind of in a sort of, like, funny mood, and then, a big laugh, and then you're just kind of like, everything. This was sort of like, huge laugh, oh my God. Okay, things are happening. Oh my God, that's the most funniest thing I've ever seen. You know what I mean? Like, it just...
I don't disagree with that,
Yeah.
but I think I had more fun than you did.
Yeah.
I was entertained by this. As you said, it's not my favorite comedy, but I was never not entertained. It feels like you were bored.
There were a couple of times, for the most part I was entertained, but there were a couple of times where I was really sort of like, I'm ready for this thing to be over.
I had a good time. I love the premise. The premise is great. I mean, basically you have this Steven Spielberg movie from the 80s that's compressed down to like a minute and a half at the beginning, and then it's like, well, what happened after that? And then you have another really interesting movie of what the fallout and like his rise to fame and all this stuff
that could have been a minute and a half.
Could have been a whole movie. That could have been a whole funny setup for a movie of this thing happened and this guy gets crazy famous.
Yeah.
But we don't even see that movie. We get this third thing that happens, which is sort of, we're back to the lull of they're just regular guys. And the whole world just sort of doesn't care that there's a talking bear.
Yeah, that was the best part. I mean, it's a little bit sort of like you have to have that 3-minute sort of, it's a little bit like Up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you had to have that 3 to 6 minute short film in the beginning.
Up,
so that the whole movie you're not going, why isn't anybody saying anything about the fact that there's a talking bear? It's like everybody in the world knows, and they're just sort of like, whatever.
Yeah, it's old news.
Yeah, it's old news.
Which is it's a really great idea. Very funny.
Idea. And it is very Seth MacFarlane. It's really, you do get a lot of those jokes that are there simply to be jokes, sort of like Family Guy. And I think that's maybe where I was a little disappointed, because I really wanted it to be a movie that was, sort of like a self-contained movie with, and there's a lot of like flashbacks and like flash moments that were just for gag purposes. Some of those gags were hysterical.
There's not as many as in the average episode of Family Guy.
Totally agree.
But
totally
still
agree.
Few.
But it felt very much like a live-action long Family Guy episode.
In a lot of ways, I think you're right. It also felt like Seth MacFarlane.
Self-referential and all that stuff. Yeah.
It also felt like Seth MacFarlane in the fact that it's a big love letter to the '80s. I mean, there's tons of '80s-ness, which I really liked.
I did. Well, first off, all the like Flash Gordon stuff is amazing.
But there's like even the score, like there'll be bits of others, like the Indiana Jones theme will peep in, and other things will have. And I mean, millions of references, and the beginning starts in 84, 85, something like that.
Yeah.
And so there's posters, and so that's fun for those of us that love the 80s.
It is a little funny that in a movie that stars Mark Wahlberg, they constantly reference the fact that he's 35. And not in a joking way, they just keep saying it.
Yeah.
And after a while, I was like, all right, maybe once, like really just nailing home that you're 35. Like, it's Mark Wahlberg, I get it, he's like 45. Like, I get it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know how old he really is, but
I don't know. I can tell you he's not 35.
I had a good time. I was laughing enough, and I mean, Patrick Warburton is freaking hilarious in his tiny little part.
His thing at the beginning was the funniest thing that I've ever heard.
Funny.
It was like,
and I like the fact that, I mean, it's a pretty standard story. It's very much an 80s story of like the big bad, cool boss guy is gonna get your girl, and that stuff's those tropes, but it has fun inside it, and I like the fact that he doesn't find the girl, that we start the movie and he's already got the girl.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool.
Very interesting. I definitely would say, for me, it's one of those things of like, I don't think you need to run out and see it. Unless you're a massive, huge Seth MacFarlane fan, you'll probably love every minute of this. But, it's one of those things that I think on a Sunday, maybe you're nursing a hangover, and something comes on HBO like this.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, I will watch it.
Yeah,
Sunday,
right.
I will watch it.
Yeah, it's funny.
Whenever this comes on, I will be like, oh my God, this is the part where the lady poops on the floor.
And I would go even farther and say that, like, in a summer where there aren't really big comedies coming out.
Well, that's true too.
If you're looking for a comedy to see this summer, you could do worse.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
You're gonna laugh.
You're
definitely gonna laugh.
And
that's all you can really ask of it.
Yeah,
so.
I agree with that.
It's not great,
weird,
but it's funny.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I guess it did sort of surpass my expectations. I had really low expectations. Yeah. So Ted.
Another thing I wanted to say really quick is I never doubted that there was a teddy bear there.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Really great
Very
effects.
Good.
Really wonderful.
Very
like that character is in the whole movie.
Yeah, and you buy it.
You buy it.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is a great trick for them to have pulled off.
Very good. And Patrick Stewart. All right, everybody, be sure to stick around for our outtakes from this week's taping. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jeff Cannata.
Audiobooks.
Audiobooks.
Stick around at the end of this discussion. I'm going to tell you a great audiobook and a way to get it for free. Let me tell you what I love about audiobooks. Audiobooks are the best way to digest spoken word, literature of all kinds, funny stuff, interesting stuff, sci-fi, fantasy, any kind of a genre you're looking for. Audible.com has your hookup for that kind of book. They have over 100,000 titles, and you can put them on your iPod or MP3 player, so it makes it easy. You don't have to like carve out hours of your day to curl up on your couch and read a book. You can be doing other things, which is what I love most. It allows me to read so much more than I ever would be able to. And if you go to audiblepodcast.com/totally-rad, again I'll say, audiblepodcast.com/totally-rad, we will give you a free audiobook so you can check it out and get hooked like I am. May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
One of my favorite books, I think I mentioned it years ago on the show, is being made into a big budget film from Ang Lee. It's called Life of Pi. And boy, it's a magical book. It's really, really special. One of my favorites. And I would suggest checking out the audiobook version. Then you can digest that, listen to it, and still, exercise and do chores and stuff. It's great. We'll hook it up for free, audiblepodcast.com/totally.
Go fishing,
Amazing.
tigers.
Yeah, tiger fishing. Everybody does it with your ear holes. All right, people, have a good weekend. See you on Monday. Let's shoot a show, bitches.
We love Magic the Gathering. I'm gonna say that again. I can't fucking speak. The Gatherlings. Gatherlings.
That's actually
Come together, gatherlings.
It's a good fantasy.
It's magic
name for
time.
things.
Bloodsport or kickboxer? Oof. All right, here we go.
On the count of three?
Yeah, but let me read the question.
1,
2, 3. Oh, that's interesting. All right, let's go.
It's a hard one.
No, I have one, but
I have one too, but it's not great.
good show, guys.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Boom.